The 2010s began with Halo Reach, but what no one expected was for them to end with Reach as well. Many know Reach is an immensely difficult game when played on Legendary, which is Halo's highest difficulty setting. The description of Legendary on the original version of Reach tells you to tremble as teeming hordes of invincible alien monsters punish the slightest error with instant death again and again. And of course, because I hate myself so much, I decided to try and beat Halo Reach Legendary without taking any damage. If I lost even a sliver of my shields, I would revert to last checkpoint, forcing me backwards until I could complete the current objective without damage. As a disclaimer, I'm aware that this video has already been done by Mitten Squad. However, he played through the campaign on easy, and trust me, it is very different. For those that have played Reach on Legendary before, you know exactly what I'm about to get myself into. The game opens on a close-up of my helmet, looking like I had just fought off the Arbiter and 69 Brute Chieftains at once. Not what I wanted to see on a no-damage run. I stepped out of the Warthog to meet Noble Team for the 500th time. After almost taking damage from a clinically insane skeleton with a knife and getting throttled by a blue lady, we were debriefed and on our way to check out the Visegrad Relay Outpost.
Listen up, Noble Team. We're looking at a downed relay outpost 50 clicks from Visegrad. We're gonna introduce ourselves to whoever took it out, and then Kat's gonna get it back online.
Before we get into the gameplay, I should note that although this is a PC port, I chose to play through on a controller with bumper jumper because it felt much more comfortable. This was it, the start of the run, and my first 2 kills were innocent Moa birds. I couldn't risk the chance of them damaging me. When we did reach the first enemies, my aim was way off because of how scared I was of the needless tracking projectiles, but don't worry, it gets better. A little farther, and I started having to reset, which should have made me question whether or not I should actually go through with this challenge. My first encounter with elites did make me question it. Luckily, I had the new combo on my side, firing an overcharged plasma bolt to drop their shields and a quick precision round to the head will drop any elite. George and I drove a dodge for a little ways and ran into some jackals, an encounter that helped me discover my main strategy for the game: peek enemies deliberately, or P for short. In more tactical shooters such as Rainbow Six Siege, high-level play involves holding very small angles to minimize your hitbox and utilizing player movement to its fullest. This is peeing in a nutshell. High spatial awareness and calculated fire can make it almost impossible for enemies to hit me. Moving on, I rescued some helpless Marines who informed me that the Covenant are indeed on Reach, which was extremely helpful and definitely not blatantly obvious. We then remembered our mission to check out the relay outpost, and flew over to defend the outpost while Kat tried to get the door open. When it was finally time to go in, Emil didn't want to go, so I had to do a little coaxing. Then Carter disrespected me by asking me if I needed an assist, which was pretty much him taking a crack at my height, so I was deeply offended.
You need an assist? Friendly.
Once inside, I was attacked by a small team of Zealot class elites, definitely one of the coolest cutscenes in Reach. Orders were to clear the hole with Noble 5, and that's exactly what we did. Carter got the word out about the Covenant, and we were then relocated to Oni's sword base to repel an assault from a Corvette-class Covenant vessel. This entire section of the mission is why I love the DMR.
Triple kill.
Once the courtyard was cleared, Cat spotted a target locator.
Telemetry received on standby.
A warthog was gifted to us from the Pelican gods, and knowing Cat's driving skills, I decided to take the wheel. Unfortunately, that didn't last long, because as it turns out, a military truck with a mounted turret makes for a much bigger target than a Spartan on foot. Activating the AA gun was the first objective where I got truly frustrated. Basically, my plan was A. Acquire sniper, B. Profit, but it was a gamble on whether or not the elites would notice me on my way over. What's more is that once I killed one elite, a spirit would spawn in and drop reinforcements close to my position, forcing me to find a good hiding spot. Eventually, I realized I could use the Warthog as a stationary turret, and my problems were solved. On the flip side, getting the comms array back online was a breeze, utilizing the DMR and sniper to eliminate the ground forces in Revenant. I used the rocket launcher to push my way back into Sword Base, and eventually reached a point I was dreading, the Hunters. Their assault cannons could easily damage me considering their area of effect, and we all know that dancing around close to them isn't easy either. I used the half walls and barriers to my advantage, and with a few good checkpoints, they were down.
Let's get to the atrium.
Kat and I had a gravity-defying experience in the elevator, and we reached the final part of the mission. Pushing through Sword Base was easy. I held very small angles and picked off enemies, and somehow managed to skip the checkpoint that spawns the enemies towards the end, which was pretty helpful. I helped Emil take out the Banshees, we sent a death rod through the Corvette, and that was that. Before we move on to the next mission, let's just appreciate this cutscene for a second. June and I were scouting enemy territory for any Covenant structures, and direct action was necessary. I assassinated the first elite, then proceeded to dispatch the rest. When we got to the first human structure, however, things took a turn for the worse. The Covenant were numerous and aggressive, but the most annoying part was an active camouflaged elite sitting in the back with a focus rifle, waiting for me to advance. I had a brilliant idea to use hologram to get the elite to come out of hiding, which I would find was a very helpful strategy for this mission. After many attempts, I managed to kill everyone except an elite general equipped with a dangerously explosive plasma caster. After about 5 minutes of waiting for him to peek his head, I mustered up the courage to push up with my trusty noob combo. June and I trekked farther to find a group of militia locked in heavy battle with a Covenant squad. I dispatched them all from a distance with a DMR, but when I found out reinforcements were coming, I realized I could skip this part entirely to save time. Without Spartans to back them up, the civilians were all slaughtered, and I took a moment of silence to honor their memory.
Recon Bravo to Noble Team. We lost the civilians.
Teabagging turned out to be a mistake, however, as karma came back and hit me with a vengeance. I managed to clear out the Covenant from the jammer, but Phantoms dropped off 2 hunters and 2 stealth elites to spice things up. Luckily, the second time the elites potatoed all their shots, and I blew them up with a single nade, and the hunters were too busy fighting June to notice the high velocity armor piercing, definitely not cheap sniper rounds piercing their flesh.
Here.
You may need these. High velocity, armor piercing. They'll take the hat off an elite at 2,000 yards. And they ain't cheap.
Past the gate, I had to revert to last save quite often. The shade turrets fired extremely fast, and the elites were unnaturally aggressive. After many attempts, the use of my hologram got me through to the end of the level, where June and I found a Covenant army ready to strike.
Jackpot.
Noble was chosen to act as the tip of the spear for the attack, and if you have played this mission before, you know I was in for a good time. To be perfectly honest, I'm tired of commentating, so here's a montage. Despite this being the first mission going to all-out war with the Covenant, it was my fastest completion time in only 46 minutes 47 seconds. That's the end of the video, but there's a lot more entertainment in part 2 of the no damage run. Subscribe if you would like to see part 2, and make sure to leave a like on this video so I know you enjoyed it.